book Chip War by Chris Miller. Karan, what was your question about the book? Do you remember?
My question about the book?
Yeah, you had asked me something about the book when we started, and then
Why did you pick this book?
Why did you pick this book? We were talking before the show. We could not remember who picked this book, and we think it was me. One night about a month ago, I saw the 60 Minutes report on artificial intelligence, and I got very excited about AI, Micron. I should have got excited about NVIDIA, but I got excited, and this book, Chip War, has been in the press a lot. Guy Spears talked about it. I think he recommended it.
It was a Financial Times book of the year, last year, for 2022.
Yeah, so the book's gotten a lot of publicity, and it was just top of mind. And as I was excited about AI and chips and trying to figure things out in that space, Karan, because it looks like it's a big space that's coming. Where do you start with that if you don't know anything about this space? And where you start is Chip War by Chris Miller. So it was a good pick. I'm glad we picked it for this. It's very timely with AI and all that's going on there. I will tell you this, and I think you might be agreeing with this. It is totally out of my circle of competence, chips, and this industry, and this book reminded me and truly showed me how out of the circle of competence this industry is. So, it very, very much humbled me. I think we'll be talking more about that at the end of the episode, but it was a different pick for us because it was outside of our circle of competence. And just a little heads up to everybody listening to this. Karan and I can talk about private equity. We can talk about Tencent. We can talk about all the other books that we're reading that are more inside of our circle of competence, and just go for an hour because we've got so much background with those industries. I don't, and we'll throw it to Karan and see what he thinks, but I don't have a background in this industry. We're not going to get technical in this episode. If you want to learn about this stuff, read the book. We're just here to kind of talk about our experience with the book and our experience with this industry and some things we think about in this overall space as investors, but totally outside of my circle of competence. And this book just really brought that home for me because a lot of information in there, and a lot of good information in there. And we'll talk about the way the book was written and laid out. But totally outside of my circle of competence. Karan, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, saying all that, I mean, the book isn't super technical. Like, it's not like you have to be an engineer to understand this book. It's kind of written more like a history of semiconductors book. It's not what will happen in the future. It's more like, this is what has happened. The way the author has written the book is quite good. It's like starts from the switch, the first transistor, and then kind of builds it up slowly. And we see that from a geopolitical perspective, where, what's happening in the US, what's happening in Japan, how does it kind of move over to Taiwan? How does Taiwan play a part in this? Like, it's a bit of chips, it's a bit of technology, a bit of like trying to understand geopolitics. So
history.
It touched on a lot of things. So quite interesting for that.
Yeah, I think the book was written in a genius way for two reasons. One, it was a book for this time. Karan, I don't know about you, but like when I get a new car, when I'm looking at it, getting a new car, if I start looking at a certain brand or a certain kind of car and thinking about it, all I'll start seeing around is that car, and I'll start noticing how often I see that car. We're reading Chip War. All I see for the last 2 weeks is articles with the term chip war in them, articles talking about different chip companies. Like, it's such a timely thing right now with AI and geopolitics and all that kind of stuff, and very timely. So that was genius to write this book now.
I mean, we saw what happened when the world was running a shortage of chips. Everyone, even like layperson, was talking about, we have a chip shortage. We can't deliver because we have a chip shortage. So very timely, right? About that.
The layperson didn't talk about it at all because it was like oxygen. It was just there, like, oh, I need a washing machine, I need a car. Yep, the chips are there. They order them, they're there. But then when they weren't, we all saw how affected we were. But the second reason it was a genius book, it was the way he wrote it. So much was covered in this book, and the chapters they're very consumable. You can get through it, and you can get through a lot. I mean, we moved from like the 50s, the Vietnam War, weapons and the state of weapons then, like all the way up to the pandemic and China shutting down and but keeping their chip businesses, trying to keep them going and keep improving them. Like it goes up to the modern day, and it's all packed in there. And so much of the book, like the story about the one of the founders of Micron, which we'll talk about, the story about Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company, and their founder, and plenty of other stories. Each one of those could be their own book. But if you want like a very consumable and digestible way to get up to speed on what this industry is, how this industry came about, who the major players are, and the geopolitics and all that, you can do all of that in this very consumable book. So I think it was written in a genius way. And there's definitely, it makes sense to me why this was the Financial Times Book of the Year, why Guy Spears recommending it and talking about it, and why so many people are talking about this book. So if you're wanting to learn about this industry, there's probably not a better place to start than Chip War by Chris Miller.